This is how I studied when I first started taking school seriously. This is how I study 7 years later. And because you're a smart cookie, you clicked on my video so that you can save yourself the 7 years of trial and error and get straight to what works. In this video, I'm going to give you every tactic and hack that I personally used so that you can save yourself years of time. Now this one's for anyone who wants to save time studying for chemistry, physics, and math tests. I always try to focus on creating a system rather than solving problems. Do you know why we sit down and practice these types of problems to study for this type of test? Pause the video. Really think about it. It is because we want to do so much to the point where we see a problem, recognize the type of problem, and know how to solve it with confidence. In other words, we identify what type of problem it is and apply a strategy. But what if, instead of doing 1,000 questions, praying that you're going to connect the dots during the test, you instead just went straight into finding the strategy, creating a mini rule book for each type of question, and memorizing that instead? That's how I approach every math-related subject, whether it's chemistry, physics, or just math itself. And in doing so, I have saved myself hours of mindlessly doing problems when I didn't need to. Obviously, you still need to do practice, but I'm saying you can do less practice and still get the same result, if not better. And the way it works is, because you are creating this rule book, you have to justify your steps. You have to make sure the steps you're writing for each type of question make sense. Otherwise, you're going to get every question wrong. And by doing that, by explaining to yourself each step of the process, you begin to understand it faster anyways. So if you haven't tried this yet, go give it a shot. I think you're going to like it. And if you're hearing all this, you might be thinking,
Oh my god, easy for you to say, Daniel. How do I actually do that?
don't worry, this leads me right to my second point, which is creating frameworks using case studies. Now, chances are you already have a framework or a textbook or a rule book that kind of gives you the strategy already. But in case you don't, what I usually do is I'll take 2 or more questions and compare them to find or create my own list of steps, list of rule books. And I'll show you a live example of how I do that right now. All right, so what you want to do is you want to find 2 questions that are the same type, and you want to make sure those solutions are correct so that we're not learning or copying from the wrong thing. Now that we have that, we want to look for similarities that we can pull from and create a system out of them. So here I have 2, I think these are worksheets from back when I was in grade 10. And over here, you'll notice the first step to each of these solutions is that we establish a variable for the number of increases in price. Okay, so again, you don't have to worry too much about the numbers or the specifics, just follow along with the idea, right? So now that we know that, we can make a mental note and say, okay, the first step is to establish the variable for number of increases in price. The next thing we do is we establish the formula. And this formula usually consists of number of something multiplied by the price of something. Okay, so that's going to be our formula. That's their second step. So for this third step, I could say, plug in the numbers into the formula to make something happen. And so this last step here looks like we are using factored form to help us find the max possible price so that we can get the answer, which is over here. And so we have just broken down this entire, this 1-page solution into essentially 4 steps, give or take. And what I love about this is that it follows any type of question you want to make. Obviously, some questions are going to be bigger than others. Some are going to have harder patterns to find. But if you can find this, it works so well. And so for most questions on most tests, I love using this strategy. It's amazing. If it doesn't work for you, sucks to be you, I guess. Try finding something else. Hopefully you figure it out. This next one's for anyone who finds it difficult to memorize things. Listen, I memorize 10 times faster when I explain the concept instead of reading the definition 1,000 times in a row. I don't even need to explain this one. Just listen to these 2 definitions and see which one helps you understand better.
Mitochondria, an organelle found in large numbers in most cells in which the biochemical processes of respiration and energy production occur.
Or yeah, so basically the mitochondria is like the powerhouse of the cell. It takes these nutrients like fatty acids and glucose, and like it converts them into energy called ATP, and you use that to do stuff with your body, like perform processes. Like, come on. Listen, it's not fancy, but it works, and I would rather you understand it than sound all technical and not know how to explain it. So if you want to memorize something faster, go explain it. This next one is for anyone who gets confused in class all the time. You ever have those moments where you're walking home and you think you understand the class or the lesson, but then as you get home you realize, oh shit, I actually have a question I need to ask the teacher, but it's too late because you're already at home. That is exactly why every time I'm going to a hard class or one of those classes that I struggle with, I try my best to read the chapter beforehand. Listen, you don't have to be an expert walking into class acting like, oh yeah, I know everything already. But at least you have a head start, and more importantly, you know what questions to ask because you've already read the summary and know what things confuse you. And in doing this, I was able to understand basically every single lesson I ever, was taught. And I was able to complete homework a lot faster because I came home with a better understanding. And if you ask me, 10 minutes every single day of reading up before the class to save myself a lot of time doing homework, to save myself a lot of confusion in class, and to get my grades a little bit higher, sounds worth it to me. Now you might be thinking, okay, where do I find this information? Well, you usually have a syllabus or a course outline, a class calendar, a textbook, somewhere along those lines. But if you have nothing, just go ask your teacher or send them an email. Like, they're not going to bite your head off. And I feel like you're going to really like this one, so definitely try it, give it a shot. This one's for anyone who gets overwhelmed when studying for big tests. Listen, I always make a list of topics before I study for any test. And the reason why is because it is the worst feeling in the world when you study for so long, get into the exam, and realize there are multiple questions that you didn't even know were going to be on the test. Like, what the fuck, man? And so I always try to look at the textbook, look at the slideshows, look at the review package, anything I can get my hands on, and list out everything I need to study before I even start studying. And it's great because right after that, I know exactly what I need to look for. And it also counts as a bonus progress tracker. And I don't know about you, but it just motivates me to keep going because I don't like leaving lists unfinished. And so try it out. It's basic, it doesn't usually take more than an hour, and it might just change how you feel about studying. This one's for anyone who just wants an easy study system to use so that they can go back to studying instead of having to watch videos like this one. If that's the case, then you need the preparation equation. It's basically P equals T times L. And what that stands for is your grade, or how prepared you are, is the product of how many hours you spend working or studying and the amount of leverage you have. Leverage is how efficient you are. It can be being more organized, more focused, using study tactics, anything that gets you more for your time. Now, the thing is, everyone doesn't want to work as hard, and so they spend a lot of time looking for study videos to try and get more out of their time, which is fine. But you're forgetting that there's another part of the equation, which is work, or the amount of hours you spend. And if you don't know what to do, sometimes the best way to get better is simply by just doing more, especially if you have no super secret strategy to make yourself better. So listen, put in an extra hour or two a day, wait a month, come back and tell me what happens, because I can guarantee you it's gonna get better. On the topic of finding new study strategies, this one's for anyone who watches study videos like this one regularly. Yeah, looking at you. Listen, it can be fun checking out all these different strategies from different YouTubers like me, who act like we have it all figured out, when we really don't. But the truth is, there's no guarantee that it's going to work for you. You have a different life experience, you have different intelligence, and you have different school expectations because we're not all from the same place. And so you shouldn't rely on us to give you all the answers. I used to get frustrated whenever I would try a study strategy I found on YouTube and realize it doesn't work for me. I thought they were liars. But it's not their fault. I'm just not them. And that's okay. Listen, it's good that you're trying to find all these different strategies to help you get more leverage and get more out of your time, but you should prioritize your work input above all else. Because I can promise you this, if you spend more time, you will learn things about the way you work that no other creator can teach you, because that's something that you've went through yourself. This is for anyone who takes notes with a computer. Please start handwriting your own notes. Now, I get it. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. But with the power of science on my side, I promise you that you will memorize information a lot faster if you handwrite it instead of typing it.
But Daniel, what if there's a lot of information?
Well, do you want to memorize it faster?
Yeah?
Then write it out. Listen, I get it. If you're in a fast-paced class and you gotta type something up before you miss everything, it's understandable. But if you really do care about actually memorizing the information for the next test and the things you're trying aren't working right now, then please just give it a shot. Rewrite your notes from online to paper. I promise you, you will thank me once you do this. That's it for this one. I just find it surprising that so many people are not doing this. This last one's probably my most overused tip, but I think it's still important to include in this video, which is separate where you work and where you play. If you're a long-time viewer on my channel, you will know this is not my usual filming room. It's actually in another room. But I have decided to film in this one for the foreseeable future because I have been diluting that room for playing and also working. And the reason why I say you should separate where you work and where you play is because when you do that, when you have a room specifically for where you work, your brain starts to pick up on the patterns and start to pick up on the environment. It starts to say,
Oh shit, blue room, brown desk, looks like a study session to me. Time to get serious.
and your brain almost mentally gets into this rhythm of, okay, it's time to work, and you get into that what you call flow state faster. So for the 15th time in this video, try it out. I think that it's really going to make a difference in the way you work. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you so much if you watched till the end of the video. Dang, I actually haven't done an outro in a while now that I think about it. Whatever. The reason why I'm making this outro is because I want to know what you think about these types of videos. Do you like the more strategic videos where you can actively apply the advice like this one, or do you want more mindset and life lesson videos where I'm more authentic and vulnerable, talking about my stories and how I got myself out of a dark situation and how you can too? So let me know in the comments. I will make whatever video you guys want me to make. As always, nothing in this video matters unless you do something about it, so go do something about it.